Well, hey, what's up, K-Town team? This is Charles Ross, and it is week number 3 of our Weird Science series where we have been teaching and learning all about obedience. And you guys, I don't know a more fun way to learn about obedience than in NLC Kids. So I want to just say thank you so much for making it happen and making it fun week in and week out. By the way, I hope that your K-Town room is clean after the dry ice and bubbles experiment last week. Wow, how crazy. Well, we get an opportunity to do it all again this weekend with another fun experiment, an amazing message. This one is called Following Instructions. In this message, we get to meet Abram. We meet him in the 12th chapter of Genesis, where God places a tremendous call and gives him some instructions that would have been absolutely crazy at that point in time for a man of Abram's stature, and that was to leave his land, leave his father's house, and even leave his people, all to pursue a land that God promised him, a land that he had never seen before. And then on top of that, God asked him to look up in the sky at all of the stars in the sky, and he says this, he says, I'm going to give you a family and leave you descendants that number as large as the stars in the sky. Well, Abram just couldn't figure out how all of this was going to work out. And that's why we are exploring a bottom line. I should trust and obey even when I don't know how it's all going to work out. Man, how often are we placed in a place where God asks us to do something, but we don't quite know what steps 3, 4, or 5 are, and we don't quite know even what the end picture will look like. Well, Abram is a great example of this, because the Bible says that Abram believed God, and it was credited to him as righteousness, and we continue to follow that example. And so we get an opportunity to explore this in our large group, where the host is going to continue in their role as the weird scientist, and they're going to come up and start an experiment. But as soon as this experiment starts to look like it may get them a little bit wet, so to speak, they decide they're not going to continue with this experiment because they just can't figure out how this is all going to work out. As it ends, then we will introduce the story of Abram in video format, and then when they come back up, the host will decide, you know what, maybe I should follow the instructions, even though I don't quite know how it's all going to work out, and they're going to do a really cool experiment that does involve some water, but hopefully they will not get wet. We'll also get an opportunity to explore this in our small groups, and the first small group exercise is called Navigate the Course. You'll get an opportunity to break out your kids into 2 different teams, and you're going to have a bucket at the front and the back end of the room, and one bucket's going to be filled with those packaging peanuts, and they're going to run those peanuts to the other side and dump them in the bucket in a relay race form. They're going to have to navigate some plates that you've strategically placed on the ground, so they're going to have to kind of maneuver around and navigate the course. Well, we get an opportunity to then stop the exercise, sit down, and really pull this exercise through by complimenting the kids on how well they were able to navigate the course regardless of what was in their way. The plates were in their way, and having to hold and balance cups, that was a challenge. But when we are able to follow God's instructions, regardless of some of the challenges that we can see in the natural, God sets us up for success, and we really want to take the time to pull that through. The next exercise is called Draw It Out. And in Draw It Out, each child will get a piece of paper, and you're going to give them some instructions to draw shapes. And these shapes are going to seem really random to the kids, and they're not going to really know what in the world they're drawing. Well, at the end of it, as long as they followed the instructions, they're going to have a cool picture of a house and someone standing next to it. Well, again, this gives us an opportunity to say this. Listen, when you were drawing out those shapes, you didn't quite know what the end picture was going to look like. But now look at what's happened. You've got a really cool picture of a house and someone standing next to it, and just like that, God gives us instructions that sometimes we may not fully understand, but at the end of it is a beautiful picture of something that He desires for us and for our lives. The last exercise is called Sticky Verses, and you're going to have the memory verse written out on a series of 18 different sticky notes, and these are going to be placed on the wall in a random order. Well, the kids are going to take bean bags and toss them at the sticky notes, and as the sticky notes fall off, you're going to challenge them as a small group to put them all together in order. And then this gives them a fun way of memorizing the verse. And as a reminder, that memory verse is this. It comes from Hebrews chapter 13, verse 17. And it says this: trust in your leaders. Put yourselves under their authority. Do this because they keep watch over you. Well, you guys, we're so excited about this week and so excited about what God is going to do this week. As a small group leader, we want you to just continue to lean in, continue to be the amazing person you are by loving on those kids. And take time, regardless of how many activities you get to, take some time to pull through that activity and pull through this amazing message of obedience. We're so excited to see you this weekend. Take care. We'll see you soon.